Welcome. My name is Michael Brown, and I want to welcome you to another Client Success Calls. I have a very, very special guest and one of my clients here today, and we're really excited about this call. And before I introduce her, I just want to let you know my name is Michael Brown, and I am a spiritual life coach. And you can find out more about me by going to MikeBrownCoaching.com, and you can get a free video e-course there on manifesting your dream. And also, I'm an author of a book called You Are a Gift to the World, and you can get a free chapter of that book at youareagift.com. So I want to introduce to you my very, very, very special guest and one of my clients. This is the next step in the client success stories. And this young lady, she has been a real estate agent for several years, and she's also a yoga teacher and trainer. And she also put out her own yoga DVD. It's called, I'm not exactly sure what it was called, 10 Minutes to, what was that called, Jenny?
10 Minutes to Pain-Free.
10 Minutes to Pain-Free. Thank you for that. And she also has a very successful business called Juice Plus as well. And with no further ado, I introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, Jenny Brantley. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the call.
Oh, you're welcome. You're most welcome. And, Jenny, we just want to get right into it. And if you can, share with us, your story to success. And if you can just kind of let us know, where you were at before you started coaching with me, where you were at maybe in your relationships or in your business before you started coaching with me.
Yeah, sure. And I'm going to focus primarily on my love life, as I've had a very powerful result from our coaching together. So I'm just going to focus on that segment of my existence, even though I feel like I've had other breakthroughs through our coaching in other areas of my life, like my career as well. But before when I decided to go into life coaching, I would say that I had been doing a lot of work solo by myself, reading books, doing dream boards, doing manifesting work. I think those things prepared me for your style of coaching, Mike. But I would say that my relationships were slow. I guess that's a way to say it. Not that fast is good, but I was not very clear. So I had a series of relationships, and I was starting to notice, I got divorced 12 years ago, and I noticed that, in the 12 years of being single, that I was becoming what I would call a serial monogamist.
Okay.
And I wasn't happy about that. And what that means is I'd enter a relationship with a special man, and we'd be together for a year and a half, 2 years, and then I would find a reason to end the relationship. And as the years droned on, and I went through maybe, like I said, about 6 of these relationships, 5, 6 of these, 7 of these relationships like this, several times got asked to be married and wasn't getting married. I wasn't doing it. And I really missed being married. I enjoyed being married, even though my marriage wasn't the right marriage for me. And I actually didn't necessarily hire you, Mike, to coach me in my relationships, but it was a part of what I was up to when we started working together. And it became something that I got clear on. So I think what I would sum it up as is I was unclear what I was doing with men. I was going through thinking I was creating a life with someone, but in the end realized that I really wasn't doing much other than just kind of reacting to the situation and going with my gut and not really powerfully creating.
Okay, I think that's pretty clear. So that's kind of where you were at before you started coaching with me. That's the landscape of it.
I'd like to give a little brief example, if I may, to really
make
it real. So I had decided that on my own, I was going to get really related to what I wanted from a man. So I made a man list and had all my specifications on there. And lo and behold, I very quickly met a man who met 9 out of 10 of the parameters, and that's pretty good percentage-wise. That's an A-. So so we started dating. Right. Yeah, we started dating, and we fell in love very quickly, and he asked me to marry him. And I said yes with all these conditions attached to the yes. And we moved in together, and fast forward 2.5 years, and he's angry with me because we still haven't gotten married, and I still feel very ambivalent about the relationship, and just feel like 2.5 years, basically, of that kind of interrelating with someone with whom I had moved in, who had asked me to marry him, but yet I wasn't being purposeful in that relationship. And needless to say, the relationship terminated. Fortunately, we're really good friends, and I would say part of that is through my coaching, is that I've been able to maintain that friend. You know, I always have that intention of having a powerful friendship with everyone I've been in a relationship with romantically, but it doesn't always happen. But this one did, and I think that's because of the new relationship I'm in and having gotten coached in, you know, being clear.
Okay, that's a great example. So this is an example of a relationship you were in before we started coaching together, kind of like the way that it would go, right?
Yeah, he was super frustrated with me. I wasn't getting what I wanted. He wasn't getting what he wanted. We loved each other, but we just I would sum it up by saying we just couldn't figure out how to pull it together and make it work. And I don't know if it was the dynamic between us, but I have a feeling it was, you know, a lot of it was my part.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
I totally.
Because I still know him, and I know him to be a wonderful man.
And so, Jenny, you know, I think that story is probably a perfect example of the landscape of what your relationships were like before you started coaching with me. And then
I'd always find something wrong.
Mm-hmm. And then once we started coaching together, I remember we sat down and you know, you made all your goals and everything you wanted to do. And I know it was more of a focus on your business, but you did have a goal, a specific goal. You want to talk about that when we started working together?
Yeah, I mean, I was totally focused on getting my business, because I had just started a new business, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I wanted to rock the house in business. And so I was really looking for a career business coach. And I just also, at the same time I started the business, started a new relationship. So I kind of threw it into the package like, oh, yeah, and by the way, I'm dating this new guy. I really like him. I think I want to marry him. He seems really right for me. So, yeah, there's that. And you asked me very specifically. I remember this very clearly. It was like our first or second meeting. You said, so 6 months from now, what do you want with him? Mm-hmm. It's like, what? Like, what do you mean? And you just really helped me to being clear about what I remember my answer was something vague like, yeah, I want to still be dating him, and I want us to be sort of living together.
Right.
And you kind of laughed. Yeah, you laughed. You're like, what does sort of living together mean? I'm like, sort of living together. And you really, and that was one of the things that had my prior relationship that I just described fail. I had moved in with that prior boyfriend, but kept my home and left it vacant. And that was always, it was kind of like this foot in, foot out sort of. Anyway, you asked for clarification, not a demand, not like, well, just really, what does that mean? And I realized, no, I guess I want to be living together. And it just got more clear to me. I'm not even sure what exactly I answered, but I remembered the question, and I remember it caused me to focus more honestly about what I was doing with this new relationship. And at that point, I can't remember how long I'd been going out with my current partner, but maybe 6 months or so already. We'd already been going out for about 6 months. Yeah.
And it seemed like one of the goals I remember you setting right there at the beginning is you said you wanted to be engaged.
Yeah, so, as I'm going through this with you right now in this call, I'm realizing, I was already going out with him for 6 months, and things were well between us. There were some issues, not between us, but in the circumstances. And I was just kind of like, again, being reactive, like, well, it'll work itself out. Eventually I'd like to, move forward and maybe move in together in some way, kind of. But when you really nailed me to that, like, it caused me two things to realize. One, time was passing. Time was going on. I'd already been with him for 6 months, just like the other one. Like, lo and behold, 2.5 years had gone by. Here's this one. I'd already been with him for 6 months and didn't really have a vision. And so those were the two things. Time was clicking by, and I still had no vision for the relationship.
Right.
Yeah, and I did. I got clear. And I said, I want to move in together with him. I want to have powerful relationships with his family, his existing daughters, and I'd like to marry this man. I'd like to get married again. I kind of had that goal before I met him. I knew that I was ready for marriage. I kind of knew that from the prior relationship because I had accepted his marriage proposal. So I was open to the idea of getting married again. Here it was, 10, 11 years after my divorce, and like, okay, I'm ready to do that again. But I had not set that as a written goal or even as a clear mental goal, other than just kind of fantasy, like, oh yeah, we're going to get married someday.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask you this, Jenny. So once we started working together, and we were working together, me and Jenny have worked together for about a year now. What were like the key points, or what were like the key things maybe in our coaching that seemed to really open up something? It was like a key breakthrough or a key opening where it moved something and transitioned for you in the area of your relationship.
Yeah, gosh. That initial conversation that we just talked about was the beginning, and that was huge. And, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. That was that first step, really. And from there, I realized that just like all the other activity and goal setting and visioning and work that I was doing with my career and my business, that I needed to do that same type of activity and intentionality in my relationship. So I remember you and I started folding that into what we were doing monthly. And so on a weekly basis, just ongoingly, I would start to set tangible goals for my relationship. And, yeah.
Got that.
And and I started seeing, I know we're focusing, I wanted to focus particularly on my love life, but what started to happen was that part of my life was being woven into the fabric of my life as opposed to some separate entity. It all started interrelating. I started getting clear about what I really wanted for my whole life, not just in my romance or my career. It was interrelated, and starting to see how the way that I was conducting myself in my work world was totally having an impact on my personal life, on my romantic life, that no wonder I wasn't forming a lasting life partnership. It wasn't even on the radar to be doing so. It was just this someday I wish kind of fantasy. And really, when I got down to it, it's really the most important thing to me is my life partnership. It's been my life dream ever since I was 10 to have a life partner, best friend. And I was not honoring that. And because you're a spiritual life coach, and that's really why I selected you, was that title, spiritual life coach. I was unintegrated in spite of my yoga training, meditation, prayer, 12-step work, all the work that I do in my life, I still was not fully integrated working by myself. It took our work to have me see the kind of gaps in my fabric, if you will. And I want to say, like, oh, it was this time that you told me to do this, but it really was an integrational process that evolved. But it was getting very clear with, like, what are your top 10 goals, and seeing, like, well, where's my relationship in there, or am I thinking big enough, or what do I really want? And also, too, if I may continue, the real interesting experience for me with coaching has been that I'm the captain of this boat. I kind of thought, oh, I'm going to get coached, and I'm going to go in there, and Mike's going to say, all right, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do this, you want to do that. And you do that sometimes, but it's the context in which we meet that was, it's not do this, do that. It's what do you want? You're the captain of your ship. Where do you want to sail your ship to? What's your port? What's your destination? And I'm here to guide you and just make sure you stay on course. And that's what was really lacking in my life, was an Uber coach. Because I have coaches in business. I have coaches in other areas. I really needed that Uber coach who was going to make sure I'm still steering my boat in the direction I wanted to be going, and make sure I even know what direction I wanted to be going. So that's what you did with my relationships. I was like, yeah, I want a life partnership. I want to be in team. I want to merge bank accounts. I want to, make plans. I want to have a future with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, Jenny. And this is kind of like the process, of our coaching as we were going on. And was there any other epiphanies you had, or key openings, or something that I said to you along the way in the area of your relationship, or maybe even in your business, if you want to share some of that, something that just, really opened something up for you, that shifted it for you, where things started to happen more?
Well, I think one of the benefits of having the coaching has been to see month in and month out my weaknesses and my strengths. And, I would say, career-wise, and it goes back to my relationship, I had been complaining for years, really, to anyone who would listen, about the professions I had chosen that were making me money or not, but that were taking all my time. I was working many, many, many hours, and I would complain about the work. It wasn't work that I felt I had chosen. I felt it had chosen me, and sometimes I can justify that as, oh, that's my destiny. So that's how it was. And it was the session last fall where, again, we had been working together for maybe 4 or 5 months at that point, and it's like I got sick of hearing myself complaining, and you finally just said, like, so when are you going to stop this? It's something to that effect. Like, when are you going to actually, start living the life that you keep telling me you want to live? And you really helped me, and I heard myself saying, well, okay, I'll give notice to this one place where I'm teaching yoga. I'll give notice there. Okay, and you're like, when? I was like, well, first I have to find out if so-and-so is going to be teaching there next quarter, because if she's going to still teach there, I didn't even have it in my, I wasn't even clear. I was just, making stuff up, making up excuses, really. Making up, well, I don't want to be the first one to give notice because I think she's going to give notice too, and if both of us give notice, it doesn't matter if she gives notice or not. This is your life, and it really was, it was amazingly difficult for me to, but it was the step I wanted to take. It was difficult for me to take that step, but it was the step I wanted, and I would never have done it without your coaching. Never.
Jenny, you're reminding me of that. The thing that I remember most about that was a couple things. I know that that you had wanted to let go of doing yoga. You had been doing yoga for 10 years, and you wanted to stop doing real estate and transition into this other business.
Correct.
And I think you were having a hard time. You were having a challenge letting go of that you were having a hard time letting go of the yoga business that you wanted to do. You weren't really wanting to do that anymore, and the real estate business. And I remember that was one of your biggest challenges. And I remember, like, saying to you, if you don't clear that area of your life out, then there's only so much time you have in a day or in your life. All your time was being consumed with yoga and real estate, and you were wanting to do this other business, this Juice Plus business. And I said, you're going to have to transition out of that if that's not what you want to do. But I remember I think part of that had to do with worried about one of your biggest things around that was you were worried about not being liked by people, like if you were leaving them or you were abandoning them. We had a lot of conversations around that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I didn't think I had fear like that, but apparently in retrospect I really see that I was being driven a lot by fear of rejection. Like in my new business, like, will people accept me in my new business? I already know that they accept me as a yoga teacher and as a real estate broker, so that's kind of a comfortable given. But now they won't like me because I'm not being those things anymore, and they'll reject me as the new thing. And will I make enough money in the new thing to sustain myself? A lot of fear keeping me in the place where I didn't want to be. So here I'm having this double lame life where I'm stewing in fear and staying squat in a spot that I don't want to be. Meanwhile, my sweetheart is saying, wow, you really, like, he's feeling like he's third place in my calendar. Like, sorry, hon, got to go, going to teach a class. Sorry, hon, got to go. Someone wants to go see a house today. And he's really feeling like second class in my life. And here my life partner is the very most important thing to me, supposedly, but I'm not acting that way. So, yeah, you really helped me get clear. It's kind of funny, Mike, I haven't told you this, but as I'm building my Juice Plus business and my team is coming on, like I have a chiropractor who loves her new Juice Plus business. She's weaving it into her chiropractic, and I heard her say the other day on the phone, she said, yeah, well, right now I don't get to do Juice Plus full-time. I wish I could, but I'm not there yet, right? So I'm hearing like the same languaging that I was using, like, what I really want is, but I can't. Like, I can't. I have to do this other thing. But you showed me, no, you don't have to do this other thing. And and also too, and I just want to add, it wasn't like a fantasy. You said, well, what's missing? I said, well, I don't know exactly how much I need to live on. You're like, well, can you find that out? I'm like, yeah, I can find that out. It would take me 30 minutes to do that math. You're like, well, do that math then. Yeah, that sort of stuff.
That was the big thing right there. You weren't wanting to let go of that income that you were getting through the real estate and through your yoga business because you weren't sure if you were going to have that income in your Juice Plus business. But I remember we sat down, we planned that, and you transitioned out of that. Slowly, you slowly transitioned out of yoga, and you slowly transitioned out of real estate, and you started building your business. I think you had a fear of, if I let this money go over here, am I going to make more money over here?
Yeah, will it be replaced?
Right, will it be replaced? And I think that started happening. That did start happening for you. As you started transitioning out, then you started making money in the other area.
Oh, well, gosh, yeah. I mean, so now I'm in just at the beginning of the 4th month of letting go, and not even letting go entirely, like weaning away. But, yeah, the prior 2 months where it's really been free and clear for me to go full force with Juice Plus, just focused. Juice Plus, my relationship to my sweetheart, and my personal health, wellness, spiritual life. Okay, those are like my 3 things that I focus on now. These past 2 months of just focusing, I've had 20% increases in the past 2 months in my Juice Plus business.
That's awesome. And Jenny, I want to say something. I don't want to miss this because I think this is really important. I remember when we started out, and this is like really important because a lot of people have this same thing. I remember when we started, and I said, what do you want or what do you want to manifest? And you had this thing that you would say, you know what, I don't know if I want to say that I want that because what if I get there and I don't want it? Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh, I forgot. Yeah, that is true. That was like
a lot of our first 2, 3, 4 sessions where around this conversation of, you know what, I don't really know if I want that, because what if I get there and then I don't want it? Like, I've heard that. You're not the only one who thinks that and says that. And I remember this specifically because I said to you, I remember what I said to you. I said, Jenny, you're going to be somewhere anyways in a year. In a year, you will be somewhere. Like, time is moving forward, and you're going to get there anyway. So it might as well be what you want. If you get there and you figure out it's not what you want, then you can worry about that then once you get there. Because, you know, that was part of what was stopping you.
Yeah, totally.
I don't want to say what it is, because what if I get it and I don't want it?
Mm-hmm.
And you finally just stood in and said, okay, this is what I want, and I'm going to go for it. And that's really a big part of what brought it forward, I think. You want to speak to that?
Well, I'm just amazed at, as it's now unfolding, it really is unfolding. And, you know, I stopped teaching yoga at the first of the year, and I closed one real estate transaction. Now I've basically been referring everything out to other brokers. Ross, my sweetheart, asked me to marry him, and we're engaged now, and we're planning our wedding and honeymoon for 8 months from now. And what I'm seeing, and I'm full time with my Juice Plus business. And what I'm seeing, what the beautiful thing that I'm seeing is that, you know, you're talking about, like, what if I get there and it's not what I want? What I didn't realize is that when I get there, wherever there is, it's so much more three-dimensional than what I projected it to be. I just projected it as this flat thing, and there's facets and options and freedom and space and opportunity and dimension to it, that there's so much more room in there than what I feared. I thought I was going to be cramming myself into this little corner that I'd suffocate, but in fact there's so much more richness in the existing of it and in the actual experiencing of it than I could have imagined, or that I did imagine. Maybe I could have imagined it, but I didn't. That now that I'm going here, it's like, wow, there's a whole, you know, because wherever I was three-dimensional, and there was smell and touch and all the things to it that I couldn't foresee in the future I was planning. But now that I'm in the future that I was planning back then, and it's happening, it's unfolding, there's all that richness and texture and more than I imagined there would be.
Yeah.
And beautiful stuff that I did not anticipate.
Awesome.
People and conversations and new openings. Like, I'll give a quick example. My fear of, well, I can't stop teaching yoga. What's going to happen to all my yoga students? I can't leave them. They'll hate me. You know, I can't let them down. Well, guess what?
That was the old conversation.
Yeah, old conversation. Well, guess what? So 2 weeks, and I knew this was brewing in the background, but it had been brewing for years. It never came to fruition for this fellow yoga teacher, friend of mine in the community. She kept wanting to open a new studio, but never happened, wasn't happening. And I just said, you know, I can't wait for her to open a studio. I just got to do my thing and follow my path. And 2 weeks after I announced I would not be teaching in the new year, she announced, yes, indeed, she got the lease signed, and she opened a yoga studio in the new year, you know, within a few weeks. And I'm very supportive of her studio. I can teach there anytime I want. You know, it's actually, I'm putting a Juice Plus Tower Garden in the yoga studio garden.
Wow.
So I'm actually, so I mean, and all my students are now going to her, and it's just a great feel-good solution. That's what I'm talking about. Like, there's so much more opening, but not, you know, I couldn't have anticipated all that goodness coming out of, you know, I just had fear around the change.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you know, Jenny, you know, I want to thank you so much, you know, for sharing. We're gonna bring the call to a close, and if there's anything else you want to share, maybe if there's anything else you wanted to say, you know, you can feel free to say it here. And also, if you want to share with, I know you're in this Juice Plus business, maybe you can share where we can, if somebody's listening, where they can go and learn more about Juice Plus.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's very kind of you. Well, I would like to start by saying thank you. And I know that I hired you as my coach for, I think it was about a year worth of services. And we're like to the last stretch of that. I'm thinking, well, gosh, look at what's happened. Look at what has happened. Wow. I can't say that any year, maybe 1 year, like the year when I was 21, when I made huge life changes. This has just been such a wonderful process of changing my life. I've put into place now, with your help, these really strong foundational pillars. I'm getting married. I have a business that's thriving and growing, and it's viable. I mean, I just want to thank you. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. And I really believe in the power of getting coached, and not just having it be between me and my higher power, but bringing in someone earthly to navigate that process. So that's been you, and so I really want to thank you, Mike. And and if anybody wants to check me out, I would love to share Juice Plus, both the product, the Tower Garden, the Juice Plus product, which is fruits and vegetables in a capsule, and we didn't even get into how that's really my dream come true, helping people live a healthy life and eat more plants, either growing them in their backyard or swallowing them in capsules or gummies. And feel free to call me or email me. And I'm also in love with the business model, and if anyone wants to learn more about what is this business and can I start my own Juice Plus business, yes, the answer is yes, you absolutely can. If you're in a place where you're wanting to work for yourself, work out of home, but not be by yourself and have team, that's basically the model. So I don't know if it's appropriate for me to put my phone number here, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be, as long as you're comfortable with that yourself, you can put your phone number here.
Yeah, no, I have no fear. If anyone wants to reach me directly, my phone number is 805-234-7279. 805-234-7279. And my email address is heyjenny, HEYJENNY, @gmail. heyjenny@gmail. And I would appreciate no one abusing those pieces of information in any way. And more to the point, I would be more than welcome to speak to you about your life, especially as it pertains to health, wellness, or business. And if you want me to speak to you privately one-on-one about Mike and his coaching services, I'm happy to share with you more intimately than this call. So,
very cool. Thank you. For that, Jenny. And so, again, I just want to acknowledge you, Jenny, and thank you for doing the work. Jenny is a particular type of client that I choose to work with because she really does the work. Like, she takes the coaching and you do the work. And so thank you for doing that because... Yeah,
I paid for it. Might as well do it.
It's a joy for me to see, I always say, one of the things I do is I help people turn their heartfelt dream into physical reality. And
wait, say that again?
I help
heartfelt
people turn their heartfelt dream into physical reality. And people often ask me, what's your heartfelt dream? And, my heartfelt dream is to help other people turn their heartfelt dream into physical reality. So it's really like watching you bring your dreams into real life and fulfill them.
I'm in love. Yeah, I'm just in love. I'm totally in love. I'm in love with him. I'm in love with my business. I'm just it was all love.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Heartfelt. Love that.
So as your dream is being fulfilled, so is mine. So it's just been an honor, to work with you and to continue to work with you in that way. And I'm going to bring this call to a close and just want to let everybody know again. My name is Michael Brown and I'm a spiritual life coach. And as I was just saying, I help people turn their heartfelt dream into physical reality. And if you want to learn more about me, you can go to MikeBrownCoaching.com, and there you can get a free video e-course on manifesting your dream, turning your dream into reality. And you can also get my contact information there. If you want to call me as well, you can call me at 760-504-9631, and we can talk about setting up a coaching.
Hey, Micah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I made another plug. It was one of your CDs I listened to before I hired you that also was pivotal, and it was turning your blocks into blessings.
Yes, turn your blocks.
And it was that, yeah, it was that technique too. And I listened to it a couple times, and it helped me. And I thought, you know what, this guy's kind of got some cool tools I'd like to maybe work with. So I just want to plug that little CD. I can't even remember where I got it from, but it was in my hand. I think you handed it to me one time when I saw you, and you said, hey, check this out. And I did, and it was good. Turning your blocks into blessings.
Turn your blocks into blessings. Yeah, actually, that's available. I think you can get that on my website under products, and that's available there. So thank you again, Jenny, and thank everybody else for listening to the call. And you all have a wonderful day. Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.